One small independent record store in Kurtztown, Pennsylvania inadvertently positioned themselves to become an odd bottleneck in Taylor Swift's vinyl distribution chain. According to the Philadelphia Enquirer, here's what happens. Now, Taylor Swift sells records like McDonald's sells hamburgers. She's easily surpassed 1 million vinyl units per year for the past few years, and I would not be surprised if she sold 2 million in 2023. In addition to her studio albums, she's released re-recorded versions of every album, different versions with alternate covers and different vinyl colors for each cover. Combine that with live rare releases, soundtracks, demos. Taylor knows how to create an appealing and extensive catalog of vinyl for her fans. And of course, they are more than happy to support her and snap up the latest merch. One type of exclusive release Taylor has used are record store day releases. Record store day releases are initially available only through independent brick and mortar stores, leading to long lines of in-person buyers in the early morning or even camped out overnight for desirable records. Indie shops put in their requests for titles with the RSD folks, and sometimes they get the copies they request, and sometimes they get none or a small amount. In addition, resellers tend to line up early on Record Store Day, and they buy up copies of every desirable record they think they can resell. And so, a Record Store Day drop from Taylor Swift is more than likely to be sold out within an hour of when the shops open. The indie shops who are allowed access to these releases are prohibited from selling the titles online until the event is over, and they're asked to limit record sales to one per customer, at least on the day of. And so really, if you want an in-demand record for retail price on the day of, you need to show up early and pray. Now, Young Ones Records owner Chris Holt requested the limit of 1,000 copies of Taylor's new vinyl drop. He always took advantage of as many Swift exclusives as possible, knowing that his customers were fans and would appreciate these hard-to-get items. It also didn't hurt that Taylor Swift and Young Ones Records are both products of Berks County, Pennsylvania. And so when Record Store Day released their order list to vendors in advance of their April 2023 event, among the offerings was Taylor Swift's Folklore, the Long Pond Studio Session. It would be a double LP retail priced at about $50. The record was limited to 75,000 copies, which is not a lot in the Swiftie world. These records would be in extremely high demand, so Chris Holt didn't think his full order would be filled, but it was. 1,000 copies of the record arrived in his shop, and Young One Records ended up with 1/75th of the global copies of this album. Chris Holt says his goal was to ultimately serve his customer base. He wanted everyone in Berks County, PA to be able to get a copy if they wanted one. Holt is a strict adherent to the idea of Record Store Day too, so he would only sell his release in-store and only sell you one copy, and you had to walk in the door and pull the record out of the rack and pay for it at the counter. And so Young Ones Records sold the albums, yes, but it was just a steady trickle for months. Despite the sign on the door and mentions in his newsletter of the exclusive release, word just wasn't getting out really. Long after every other shop had sold out and prices online had skyrocketed, Young Ones Records still had hundreds of copies of Folklore, still marked at the $50 retail price. Then came a Facebook post and more social media sharing. The Swift fans were calling the store, but they wouldn't mail it out, so Swifties started sending Pennsylvania relatives on long drives to get the record. From Young Ones Records, fans were reaching out to Berks County strangers online and offering to pay them to go get the record. People were driving to Kurtztown from far-flung cities, flying in from out of state. Fans made it a pilgrimage to obtain the record from the Young Ones Records. It was a media story, and it became a media circus. And so the shop sold out pretty quickly, right down to the last copy. I had little girls crying because we didn't have more copies. And it sucks because that's why I bought so many. I wanted local people getting it, not these entitled people across the country that thought they'd get it no matter what. Oh, by the way, Young Ones Records does have one more copy of Long Pond. The final copy will be raffled off on Christmas Eve, but you have to be there in person. Hey, if you dug that, check out this other video. It was selected for you by YouTube's team of friendly robots. They've decided this is the most interesting video of all the videos I have that you'll think it's cool. Do you agree? Click. Check it out. Tell me what you think.